Hey guys, how's it going? So basically in today's video, I wanted to talk about Louis Theroux. Louis Theroux? Hopefully, I don't think I'm saying his name right. But basically I wanted to talk about him, and he's low-key like an inspiration to me because basically he has been making these documentary films for maybe it's like 20 years, because I was watching one and he looked super super young in it. So yeah, he's just on everything. If you haven't seen any of them, he used to have this one called Weird Weekends, which that's the one that I was just watching. And he's interviewed like porn stars, Nazis, the West Baptist Church, like that world's most hated American people. So he's just bloody done it all. And something that makes his documentaries, something that makes his documentaries very unique is that he is a very, particularly in his early years, he's a very like awkward person, and he just sort of embraces that, and he doesn't try and be, someone he's not. He doesn't put on a false, I guess when you think of like a BBC journalist, you think of a very, professional person who's like, I mean, not that he's not professional, but someone who's very like straight and like, but he's just sort of a bit, he's a bit quirky and he's really cool, and there's definitely, he's just sort of himself. And I think that's what a lot of the people in these documentaries are reacting to, is just how authentic he is, and he's not putting on a false whatever, he's just being himself. And I was watching an interview with him more recently, and I do think that when you're younger, everybody's a little bit more, awkward and all that. And I do think that just as you grow older, you just sort of hopefully become, you just sort of grow into it. I think if you're awkward when you're young, you will eventually hopefully grow into that awkwardness, and it'll end up sort of almost being a positive thing. And yeah, it's just, I think that in terms of like my experience being a really awkward person, and why I found him so inspirational, is that I used to be just the biggest try hard because of my awkwardness. I got, people didn't like me, and I got bullied in school, so I was like, oh shit, like my personality, who I am, is like really bad. Like there's something wrong with me, so I need to try harder. I need to be more like this person. I need to be like this. And all that was happening was I was just giving people two reasons to not like me, because people didn't already like me because I was weird and awkward and all that jazz, but on top of that I was being inauthentic. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't like. People can just tell when you're not being authentic. And so that's how I was for a really long time, up until relatively recently, when I was just like I'm just going to be myself. And that's just, I guess it's sort of about accepting yourself. And something, there's a really weird thing, but something that I used to do was, I obviously don't mind the quiet, I don't mind the silence. I actually kind of almost like awkward silences a little bit. But I figured out pretty early on that other people didn't. Other people found them really uncomfortable. People don't like the quiet a lot of the time. And so what would happen is, if you're having a conversation with me, there's going to be a lot of awkward silences, because I'm, not very good conversationalist. And so during those awkward silences, I would freak out and I'd be like, oh no, I need to, say something so they're not uncomfortable, so they don't hate me. So da da da. So I would start, just jabbering on and talking, and people obviously found that very inauthentic, and they just could tell that I was trying too hard, and it came across as disingenuous and all that jazz. So if you're in a situation like that, just, if you don't have anything to say, don't say anything. You don't always have to sort of perform for other people. And if there's an awkward silence because you're awkward, then that's just the way it sort of is. And I do think that as we get older, I think that, as hopefully, your confidence goes up and all that stuff, things start to, get better. But yeah, I really, watching that interview more recently with Louis, I was like, oh wow, like maybe one day I'll be like him, and I'll sort of grow into my weirdness, my awkwardness, like he has. And but yeah, if you haven't seen his sorry, I got a message. If you haven't seen his documentaries, definitely watch some of them. They're really interesting. And I'll see you guys next time.